A girl appears with tears in her eyes, saying that life is boring. She was trampled on and mocked. No one even wanted to save her an insignificant existence. She wants to be happy, wants her life to end soon. Only God could save her. A boy appears flying in the sky. He says the girl's face shows that she has a boring life. The boy realized as a child that people can't resist death. Even if you want to live, it will come to an end. Someone comments that there are ghosts in that hospital. An employee says that the spirits of dead patients stay in the rooms and the operating room switches keep turning on and off. Then a nurse asks who will do the night patrol and they say she can go. The girl walks through the hallways and thinks ghosts aren't that scary, but she should go back soon. She comments that she needs to be realistic. Humans are much scarier than ghosts. When entering the room, she comes across a frightening figure. Then she screams. It was a boy in the dark who asked her not to scream or she'll end up waking everyone up. He waves at her and Nurse Oshima realizes it's just Osamu. The boy is wearing a robe, bunny slippers, and holding a phone. Oshima says he can't go out alone since they don't know when he might have another crisis. The boy apologizes. Then he comments that Sugiyama said there were ghosts there, so if he wanted to see for himself and was looking with his phone. Oshima asks if he wanted to see ghosts, and the boy says he wanted concrete proof. If they could be seen, it means they emit heat waves, electrons, or light. He has a thermography app on his phone that detects any red or purple light. The nurse comments that it's good to experiment with things, but he already caused a steam explosion at the back of the hospital. No one was hurt that time, but you should stop there. Osamu says he just finds it interesting. He's curious to know where he'll go after death and says he'd be scared if he didn't know. Then the nurse says it's okay and they'll find a cure for him, but he comments about his hair. He let it grow because his mother asked him to. The boy doesn't think he'll be able to cut it when he reaches his goals and objectives. Then he starts talking about death and Oshima holds his hand. She smiles and says he'll look good with short hair and you should come back to show her. The boy gets emotional and smiles. Dementia with Lewy bodies is a dementia accompanied by changes in behavior, cognition, and movement. Osamu has had it since he was 9. 30 years ago, 3 doctors discovered that disease they don't know its cause or cure. Even with normal exams, it can go into crisis, and without treatment, leads to death. No matter how many tests are done, nothing abnormal is found. This rare disease has only been reported 6 times in the world, and Osamu is the only Japanese person with it. The boy enters the room again. He remembers when he received a flower. They asked if he knew the name of that flower. It's called I Am, and it means hope. He was amazed, and the woman said she was going to become a doctor to cure him. Osamu asks if she's serious, and the girl confirms, promising. Everyone thought you would be cured, but honestly, he no longer counts on that. Even so, he doesn't want to die without having truly lived. He wants to become someone of value. He doesn't want to lose his life being useless. Boy goes into crisis. Suddenly, he spits blood. He starts choking on the blood. The nurse runs toward him. He realizes he's having another crisis, but this time it must be the end. The nurse yells at him that it's okay, and that help is on the way. The boy falls to the ground. He has no life. A deer appears, and someone points an arrow at it. The creature has an eye on its forehead, and is about to be hunted. Then an arrow hits its butt. Monsters were responsible for this. They approach the prey happily. The boy watches it all and doesn't understand where he is. He looks at 2 strange forms and wonders if those are his hands. Then he questions whether he's alive. He remembers everything. He was sick and spent his life in the hospital. He had a family and took his last breath in the hospital room. He remembers, he knows they are his memories, but it feels like he wasn't the one who experienced them. Then he sees the creatures eating the deer and wonders what that is. They are obviously not from his time. The boy concludes that this can only be a dream. He had a crisis, fainted, and now he's dreaming. Those monsters look like Onus. They can only be his imagination. Something startles him. The Onus saw him and prepare to attack. An arrow flies toward him. It passes through him and hits a tree right behind. He thinks this is a dream and he'll wake up soon, while the monster runs toward him, ready to hunt him. The boy screams that he doesn't want to lose his life. Then something happens. The Oni is startled. Suddenly, it begins to disintegrate, and Osamu absorbs its life. He wonders what that was. He just raised his hand and the monster lost its life. It seems like he's sucking something like its energy. He can feel a greater essence within him. It's something beyond himself, also gaining power. The other creatures are frightened. Then they begin to charge at the boy. He raises his arm, and the creatures start to writhe in agony. Osamu thinks they don't die instantly. So the more enemies there are, the slower the process. He starts to cry and shouts that he never wants to die again, and begs the monsters to lose their lives. He's angry and sucks all the energy from the Onus. Looking around, Osamu concludes that he's solved the problem for now. But he doesn't understand what that power is or why the creature's attacks don't hit him. He wants to know if he's a ghost. The only things he knows at that moment are that this is not the world he knows, and he can absorb the life force of others. It seems like the greater existence inside him is trying to do something, as if he's storing strength for himself. The boy looks at his own hands and is startled. They're different now. Upon seeing a lake, he thinks of looking at his reflection. He approaches and looks at his reflection. It's Takamitsu Osamu himself. Shocked, he remembers that was his name. He knew what had happened, but it didn't feel real. Osamu died, and this can only be afterlife. He wonders if he reincarnated with the boy's memories, but it's too real to be a dream. He thinks he doesn't want to die. Those were the feelings of Takemitsu Osamu. He might be awake in that world and in the other. His feet lift off the ground. Looking at the forest in front of him, he concludes that one thing is certain: now that he's gotten a second chance, he doesn't want to lose it. He's going to live. For that, he will eliminate anyone who threatens him. Then he thinks about his name. It's his, but he doesn't think it will work. He should change his name too. Osamu can also be read as Shu. It sounds good, so he'll keep it that way, but he needs another first name, maybe Cuckoo. Then he thinks of Arch, which means to be superior, followed by light, so he concludes that he'll be Shu Archlight, even though he's decided that no one is there to witness it, so it's better to remain uncertain about who he is. Confused, he wonders what he'll do since he has no hunger or sleep, and he can also levitate. A noise comes from the forest. The boy gets scared. Then he quickly climbs a tree. Someone approaches and calls for Freddy, saying there's a pile of goblin corpses there. Another shouts for Miguel to wait and go slower. Watching everything from atop the tree, the boy wonders who those people are, since they are humans. Freddy asks if there was someone there capable of defeating the goblins, and Miguel replies that not that she knows of. Whatever it is, they need to remove the bodies and burn them to prevent a plague from spreading. From the top of the tree, our hero watches everything. One of the goblins is pulled from the water. Miguel, while removing the creatures from the water, says they show no trauma and wonders if it was the work of a ghost. Freddy says low classes don't do that. Miguel uses his burn and flame magic. A symbol appears in his hand, and a flame as well. Shu is amazed and wonders if that is magic. Then Miguel throws a fireball, but nothing amazing happens. He starts to get desperate and wonders what he's doing wrong. Freddy responds that he lacks imagination and needs to tell the magical element when to activate. Magic is a skill learned in the first year, and he should already be used to it. Miguel tells his friend not to argue with him when he's feeling down, and asks how he can outline the fireball he wants. Freddy asks if he doesn't know how to shape the fireball without the templates and says magic can't be maintained like that. Then he says that if Miguel can't do it, he'll do it himself, but Miguel says no. He extends his arm and shouts that he's so frustrated he's going to burn those bodies using magical equipment. Freddy is startled and says that it's a waste of magical power, telling him not to do it. This time, a gauntlet appears out of nowhere. Miguel casts a fireball using the gauntlet. The goblin's bodies burn. He smiles and says he's a natural-born mage and really good at it. At this rate, he'll soon reach rank S. Freddy says if he keeps shouting, he'll attract more monsters. Several goblins begin to approach, and she says, "Here they come." Miguel screams in fright. With both hands on the ground, Freddy uses the magical equipment. Roots come out of the soil and hit the goblins, trapping them by the necks. Miguel uses his firepower to finish off the monsters. He smiles and says that was dangerous. Freddy says she's tired. It seems that magical equipment consumes more magical energy, but at least he still has enough magical power for them to return home. Freddy comments that she prefers magical equipment of the armor type, and the boy mocks her, saying there's nothing that can be done. Then they start their way back home. That was a good practice before the spellcasting test. Our hero watches the pair and wonders if they're students. Maybe there's a city nearby. More than anything, he got important information from those two. Things like magic exist in that world. Magic is created by incantation and magic circles, by the mage's imagination and consumption of magical power, and it causes a specific physical phenomenon. On the other hand, magical equipment varies from person to person. It's a skill defined at birth, and the magic consumption varies with each individual. Apparently, the magic circle is a system that works by itself. Shu thinks about what they mean by magical power and concludes that maybe he can use it too. It's worth trying, so he decides to test casting a fireball to incinerate the remaining bodies. He wonders what incantation is and thinks that, according to Takemitsu Osamu's memories, there are only fairy tale mages as references. Imagination. He needs to think about what physical phenomenon he wants to create. He needs to name the magical element for the incantation. Shu remembers when Osamu used to study and thinks about water. He has knowledge about what it's made of. The only thing Takemitsu Osamu mastered when all he could do was learn. The boy closes his eyes and tries to remember. Ionized covalent bond of hydrogen and oxygen, enthalpy calculation, assignment of atmospheric pressure parameters, and liquefaction of water vapor. Calculate the entropy of atmospheric pressure and humidity to compute the state of water. The water particles that appear in space join into one. The sphere is in its natural state when the interfacial energy between water and air is at its minimum. Shu notices a magic circle is appearing on its own. He forms this circle while thinking about chemical concepts of the formation and existence of water. Water comes out of the circle, but its shape is not stable. Maybe that means not enough imagery. He remembers Freddy talking about imagination and mental imagery. The boy thinks about when he played with festival gifts. Something called a water yo-yo. He was really young back then, and he was really happy to receive the yo-yo. In front of him, a ball of water appears. Just like with his life-absorbing ability, the energy inside his body helps push him to do what needs to be done. He tries to move the ball, but it falls to the ground and dissipates. He needs more magic circles to throw it in a direction. More complex commands require more complex imagery and incantations. If he understands more about it, there'll be a trump card that will be useful in the future. 3 months pass. Someone comments that they really don't like that place. It's a group of students. One of them asks why they don't do the implementation training somewhere else. A girl replies that if he's scared, he can leave. Jazz says he'll follow them because he wants to see Alice's new magic. The girl tells him not to overdo it, then asks him to use his detection magic to find out if there are any demons around. She wants to test if her ability can be applied to monsters. Jazz lowers his head and uses detection magic, and he finds something minus 50 meters ahead, a humanoid ghost, high-rank spirit. A girl with glasses gets scared and says she doesn't remember ever seeing something like that in the forest. Jazz says they should attack, and Alice agrees. That's the perfect moment for a test. She places her hands on the ground and uses her magic of roots and vines. It's the entangled ivy, which captures the ghost they found. The girl with glasses gets very emotional, and Jazz says Alice is so amazing, she can even activate a level 2 circle on the first try. The boy grabs a magic dagger. Shu is trapped in the entangled ivy. Jazz runs toward him and shouts that now they just have to finish him with his magical equipment. Our hero stares him deep in the eyes. Then a magic circle appears in front of Jazz, catching him by surprise. Out of nowhere, he is thrown far away. Alice gets worried. The girl with glasses questions what kind of magic that was. Creatures like that shouldn't be able to use magic. Alice says it seemed like a poorly aimed but precise magic trick. Activating a magic circle without delay isn't possible for a mere high-rank spirit. Shu begins to free himself from the entangled ivy. Then he prepares to attack the students. Alice throws herself on top of the other girl and shouts her to be careful. An explosion happens. Shu approaches the broken glasses on the ground. The 2 girls are lying on the ground. Our hero comments that he incapacitated them, but this is problematic. He had never been attacked by a human before. The 2 kids from before also wore clothes like those. The difference was that these were hostile to him. Shu wonders if they wanted to end his life. Behind him, Jazz raises his dagger. He shouts, furious for Shu to get away from Alice. Shu looks at the boy with pity and concludes that if he wants to annihilate him, he'll have to do the same. Then he absorbs his life force. Unlike the monsters, he wondered if anyone ever took human lives. Nothing changed. He feels nothing. Jazz is on the ground. He looks at Alice one last time. Her body is already lifeless on the ground. Jazz wonders why this is happening. Shu approaches. He kneels beside the boy and says that Jazz was the one who started it, so it's all his fault. Tears stream down his eyes, and his life fades away. Shu thinks that if a student has died, the educational institutions will surely make a fuss. It's just a matter of time before they find out. He flies away. He can't stay there anymore. He needs to find another place to stay. Night falls. In a city surrounded by walls, there is a huge building. 2 girls talk about the story of a body found in the forest at the end of the day. People discuss how Alice was promising and conclude that she was probably trash, and it was their fault for going into the forest being so weak. Someone slams the table and asks why. Why would such an excellent mage from that school lose her life in a forest with only low-ranked monsters? An old man asks a woman if it's her fault for not supervising, and she replies that the forest isn't dangerous. Another says they need to resolve this. The old man asks if they should call the army, and the man sitting says they won't be enough and that he should tell the bishop they may need help. Consoling the shaken woman, the other says they need immediate measures. Many students go into the forest, and those of rank F won't come out alive. The president says that for now, the forest will be sealed and all access will be prohibited. He wants the available teachers to continue investigating. The teachers leave. The president reflects that he hopes his premonition doesn't come true. Someone peeks through the door. They're students. Meanwhile, Shu moves away from the forest. In the middle of the forest, there are several ghosts. Shu is sitting among them. The boy thinks the creatures are talking about something again. After what happened, he moves to the depths of the forest. The days of slowly absorbing the life of monsters go on. Before he realized it, they surrounded him, usually thinking or mumbling about something. They are fragments, and to them, Shu is a superior being. In other words, the idea is that threats can be avoided by staying close to the strong. Shu wonders about many things. He thinks he's not human after all. One of the spirits approaches to say something, but the boy doesn't understand. Then he hears a sound. They are footsteps. All the creatures hide. 2 people enter the forest. One of them says it's there, the other confirms. Suddenly, the trees behind which Shu is hiding are split apart. They begin to wonder if that's a high-ranked spirit, but he seems far too strong for a spirit. Either way, they need to act for the sake of their students. That's the kind of teachers they should be. The man orders Pui to advance. Shu is confused. A bird lands on his shoulder, leaving the boy speechless. Suddenly, it flies off, taking his arm. Shu screams. His body came apart too easily. The bird brings Shu's arm to the man, who congratulates it. The other says he seems more stubborn than he thought. Shu wonders if they're playing with his body using that bird and realizes those 2 are much stronger than the previous trio. The boy concludes that they want to annihilate him. One of the men commands the bird to finish off Shu, while the other enjoys the show. He questions what he should do. He's not fast enough to take their lives, and his limit seems to be a single final strike. He needs to finish both of them at once. He just needs to buy time to complete the magic circles. He has to find a way to distract them. Something catches the attention of the long-haired man. Then he asks the other what kind of magic that is all of a sudden, but the other replies that it's not him casting it. Several magic circles appear. The man is shocked and says it's enormous. Larger than the 10th stage, it looks like a forbidden spell. Turning to Shu, he asks who summoned such a massive spell and what kind of technique that is. He's never seen anything like it in his career as a teacher. Shu reflects that it doesn't matter, since that circle is just a stupid scripture, merely a bluff. An unknown attack like that will obviously make people lose focus. It's enough for him to use real magic. One of the men shouts to the other to look at Shu's feet. There's a magic circle there, so it must have been someone at a low rank who opened that. The man is shocked. He realizes it was Shu who took out the students the other day. Then he yells for Pui to attack and finish off Shu. The boy says he's just finishing the final details. Then a huge explosion happens. From another part of the forest, 3 teachers see what happened. A teacher says that's the direction of another school unit. Another yells for them to contact the institute immediately and find someone with strong water magic to put out the fire. Silence falls. Shu is in the middle of many burned trees. The boy thinks he thought it would end differently. The explosion experiments in the backyard of the hospital were useful. An explosive acid, easier to detonate than TNT, also easy to synthesize from air and soil, combined with remaining magic and detonated with vibrational magic. The explosion itself was a physical phenomenon. Shu didn't know if it would affect him or not. It was a gamble. His knowledge is protecting him. Suddenly, something magical happens to his arm. The dispersed magical power is accumulating and his spiritual body is beginning to recover. The two seem to have been obliterated by the explosion. More magical power is gathering there. Shu notices that he's now wearing new, clean clothes and wonders if he evolved again. A group approaches. He thinks that even if he's recovered a bit, he still can't face main opponents at once. It's better to go somewhere else. The boy flies through the skies. Then he spots a place. It's the capital, Ramza. At the gate, 2 people try to enter and the guards ask for their authorizations. Shu reflects that they wear the same clothes as the guys he just annihilated. If they see him, there'll be trouble. He needs to find somewhere to stay. At the cemetery, a woman and a child stand before a grave. A soldier approaches and says it's time to go home or the undead will attack. The woman apologizes for the inconvenience and the child asks what that is. The mother explains that at night she'll become food for scary monsters if she's not careful. The soldier approaches. He kneels before the child and says that they from the magic corpse will protect her so the little girl can go home safely. She's impressed. Handing him the flowers she carries, she says that magic should smile upon him. She and her mother leave. The other soldiers chat among themselves that the undead aren't threats, since they're just skeletons and low-ranked soldiers, while the one who received the flowers is all cheery. Shu hides behind the tombs and thinks that this is a common cemetery, a good place to stock up some magic. Even though there are guards at the entrance and exit, it doesn't seem to be a heavily monitored place except for the front patrol. As long as he doesn't make too many unnecessary movements, he can use that place as his new base. Shu remembers how his arm was torn apart so easily. That means he can be defeated in a short time. Something approaches. It's the wandering skeletons. They've already arrived. Shu says they will be his meal and uses his life-absorbing power. Meanwhile, at the anti-demon church, someone walks quickly through the corridors. A man on a pedestal in the church says he wanted to see Zek and apologizes for keeping him busy. Zek, the A-class holy knight, says it's no problem and that the man's summons are his priority, as a friend and as a duty. Then Zek approaches and asks why the man needs him. He replies that the priestess princess of the sacred Grinia made a prophecy. She foresaw that a disaster will happen in those lands. Zek is startled. The Grinia requested an investigation, and the knight must investigate and report any signs of anomaly. Then he asks if Zek remembers what happened in the forest a few days ago. 3 students disappeared and 2 teachers were caught in an explosion. Besides that, strange things have been happening recently in the public cemeteries in the Ramza Kingdom. The number of attacks has plummeted. Zek asks why this is happening. The man says it's just his intuition as a servant of God, but he believes the incidents are related and may be connected to the prophecy. Finally, the man says he asks Zek, not as a bishop, but as a friend, to help them understand what's going on in the cemetery. As a rank of mage, you will be able to handle any eventualities. Zek says he accepts the mission. At the cemetery, a soldier comments that it wouldn't have been a big deal if it were a low or mid-rank monster, but they've never seen such a sudden drop in numbers before. It's probably a spirit, but it seems to be accumulating magical power for some reason. He'll take the lead as he already located it by detecting its magical power. Zek thinks that if it's just a skeleton, a single blow will be enough to take it down. But he remembers what the bishop said about the incidents being connected. Calmly, Zek says that no matter what happens, his spirit will clean it up. A skeleton approaches. Shu thinks that a magic circle can be accelerated by heat and momentum. After that, just assign a numerical value for acceleration and pass the kinetic force to the negative. He casts a fireball toward the creature. The skeleton is hit and begins to burn in desperation. Shu compresses it and dissolves it with his magic. He feels his body changing again. That's the sensation of evolving once more. Ever since he evolved, his magic reserves and the number of times he can cast a spell have increased greatly. After spending so much time there, he realized that the more magic he takes from them, the more he evolves, and in the process, he was able to acquire new abilities. Among them, magical detection, which allows him to channel his magic like a spider web to detect the presence of beings within a certain area. Shu reflects that they probably located him in the forest before because they used that ability. It's a brilliant skill. If a hostile entity approaches, he will be able to detect it. Something catches his attention. There's a group approaching. They have notable magical power, so it's better to get out of there just in case. As the men approach, Shu tries to escape, but they are tracking him. They know where he is. He couldn't escape, and the group stops in front of him. A soldier tells Captain Zek that there he is. He comments that it looks like a nightmare spirit, and one of the guards says it must have evolved and already become more powerful. Zek grabs his spear and says that either way, they're going to eliminate it. Shu asks if the man wants to finish him off too. Zek asks what the spirit is saying, and the guide next to him says spirits communicate through telepathy, so they can't really tell. The boy thinks they're dressed differently. Must be soldiers from the country. He doesn't understand why they're attacking him if he hasn't done anything. Then Shu gets ready and decides to finish the magic circle before they reach him. He will practice the techniques he's learned. Zek yells for everyone to get ready. Around the entire group, a magic circle opens, the heavens cleaving domain. Everyone around Zek is sliced in half in a single movement. Shu notices that this man is different from the others. The heavens cleaving domain is one of many arts he mastered while staying in the cemetery. If you try to apply a magical effect directly on a creature, the magical atoms covering its body will interfere with your spell and nullify the effect. So as a first step, he can absorb life at the atomic level to absorb the magical power first. The second step is to break the bonds and split the target. The downside is that it can't be activated if the opponent has too much magic to be absorbed all at once, so it's for weak targets. With Zek, it doesn't work. The man looks at the fallen soldiers and wonders what happened there. It's not possible that a mere demon is capable of casting magic so quickly. A mere mid-level nightmare spirit shouldn't be able to take down so many soldiers at once. Besides, the men he trained shouldn't have been defeated so easily. They shouldn't be lying on the ground. Shu stares at him. Zek shouts in fury. He tells the demon, enemy of the human race, to listen. The man raises his spear, and several others form, and says that this holy night, Zek Barat will have his revenge. Shu observes that it's a magic weapon and holds a lot of magic. Probably not a good idea to take the risk. The boy uses his power. The spears turn in his direction. Zek tells them to finish it. Shu thinks that this is a complex magic formula that requires focus. He can't afford to be distracted. The spears fly towards Shu, and he opens a magic circle in front of him. They begin to pass through the circle and strike Shu, first in the stomach, then in the head, so he activates the accelerated magic circle. The circle before him starts working as a shield and deflects the spears, which begin flying in all directions. One goes straight at Zek. He is hit in the head. The man is stunned, and all the other spears are also heading in his direction. The man screams. He becomes completely covered by spears, impaled. Shu comments that he had a lot of magic. If it were a simple duel, Zek would probably have won. That's why he used his acceleration magic to manipulate the vectors and change the attack point of the spear. If you change the direction of the flow, there's no conflict between magics. The rotation formula, which is extensive and difficult, took most of his focus, but it worked. Shu approaches to absorb Zek's life and recover his magic. He does it. Quickly, his body regenerates. The number of holy knights there was quite high, and they had access to good magical power. It's as if his entire form is changing. The boy takes a deep breath. It's interesting, he doesn't have a body to tense, but that's what happens when he evolves. In front of the bodies, he says he thinks he'll hide in the depths of the forest, the demon forest, which no one visits. Zek's body is in a coffin with his face covered, and a man tells the bishop that he suggests not looking at his face. 2 mages, graveyard keepers, 3 members of the mascot court, and a knight of the Holy Order were found lifeless, similar to the ones killed in the forest. The bishop looks at Zek's body in the coffin. He asks that the souls of Knight Zek Barat and all the brave mage soldiers return to the throne of God. The bishop thinks he should have taken the sacred Grinia's prophecy more seriously, but dwelling on his mistakes won't bring his friend back. With fury in his eyes and while crying, the bishop thinks he hates the plague that annihilated his friends. He then swears by magic that he will avenge Zek. After the cemetery incident, Shu wandered through the depths of the forest for months. Hands sliced the body of a deer. It's the monster village in the Eldera forest. The monsters are arguing among themselves. Then something catches their attention. It's Shu approaching. They all kneel to welcome him. One of them welcomes Shu and says that a human passed near the forest entrance and some goblins who disobeyed orders were sacrificed. Shu says there's nothing to be done for those who were caught, but they need to be told to leave when they see them, assuming they have brains capable of understanding. The goblin says that for high-level demons and mid-level demons, his orders must be followed. Somehow, Shu became the leader of the monsters in that forest. It was on a day when he began attacking monsters again, but among them were some strong ones of higher rank. They were the Goblin King and the high-ranked Demon Boar. After defeating both, their subordinates started to follow him. Shu said it didn't matter if they were his subordinates, he couldn't do anything for them. They replied that they weren't asking Shu to lead them. Subordination to the strong is essential for survival and prosperity. Shu reflects that this is how low-level spirits and monsters work. The boy decided to accept their offer because there were no disadvantages. Now he commands a monster village with no problems of magical power or human interference. From afar, Shu observes life. He thinks it would be nice if nothing happened and he could keep living peacefully like that. Suddenly, he feels something. It's a presence that catches his attention. Shu looks toward the forest. He senses a reasonable amount of magical power nearby. A girl is running. She runs through the forest. She seems to be fleeing from something. There's a monster chasing her. The girl looks back, frightened, then says the creature is very persistent and uses the enchantment magic Expand. A magic circle appears in front of her, but it doesn't activate, leaving the girl confused. She gets nervous and is struck in the chest by the monster. It pierces her and she falls to the ground. The creature watches while she writhes on the forest floor. Suddenly, the wound in her chest starts to heal on its own, which catches the monster's attention. Then it starts to hurt the girl, who screams for it to stop. She is desperate, crying that it hurts. Knowing the wound will instantly heal, the creature hurts her and takes pleasure in her pain. It grabs the girl's arm. The girl has no friends and cannot lose her life. She's experiencing hell on earth. Crying, she says she wants to redo everything and begs for someone to help her. Shu watches everything from above. He reflects that the creature has bad taste. The boy thinks about how he should annihilate the monster and take its magical power. After all, it'll be a problem to let it go, since it might attack the village. The girl is wrecked in the monster's hands. Then she turns towards Shu. He is startled. All wounded, she looks at him. The boy remembers being in the hospital. He remembers his sister saying she wouldn't let him die, his father commenting that he doesn't need to worry about the hospitalization costs, and his mother saying she's very happy to have given him life. He had a warm and caring family, but he just wanted to live. Shu comments that it looks like she has a boring life. The girl is startled. He approaches the monster and stomps on its head, destroying it. She is shocked and Shu stares at her. Then the boy absorbs the monster's energy, leaving the girl speechless. Then she asks who he is and why he helped her. Shu replies that he didn't save her. For some reason, the desperate look in the girl's eyes overpowered his childhood memories. In the end, Shu says he just ended the monster's life. Saying it won't hurt her anymore, the boy walks away and says goodbye. The girl shouts for Shu to please wait. She thanks him for the help and introduces herself as Iris Silverbread, and the boy introduces himself as Shu Arclight and asks why she's there. Then Iris replies that she was collecting herbs. Since she's a repeater, she needs to gather points to pass. She was supposed to collect medicinal herbs near the entrance of the Eldera forest, but when she realized she was already inside it being chased by werewolves. Shu comments that she says she's a repeater, but doesn't think that's the case. The girl gets nervous and explains that she's a repeater because she's not good at manipulating magic. Magic is also the most basic foundation. You can only use the first order wind impact, even that will fail if you rush, no matter how much magic you have. Shu looks at her, then asks if she shouldn't acquire magic, and she says it's impossible because the professor doesn't like her. Besides, her magic is of the extended type. Her magical vestment is an immortal skill that covers her body like a core of power. The sensation of pain only goes away as long as there's magic, but she can't die. The boy thinks about the power of immortality and how there are still many things he doesn't understand about that world. He avoided dealing with humans, but someday he'll have to learn. He takes her to the edge of the forest and says that if she follows that path, she'll get home. Happy, Iris thanks him and asks where the boy lives so they can return together. But Shu says he's going back into the forest. The girl is confused and the boy starts trying to explain, but a giant creature suddenly appears. It's a vine of evil tentacles. It's low rank, but if you get entangled in the ivy, you'll have problems. She asks if he doesn't have any special magical power. Shu complains that Iris is in the way, then hits the monster with a spatial field, slicing it into several pieces. Iris is startled. Calmly, the boy tells her to follow her path, but the girl is in shock and asks what kind of magic that was. She's never seen or heard of any magic circle like that. By its size, it's level 6, but that level of wind attribute is the Cyclone Veil. Besides, the technique develops quickly. Looking at Shu, Iris questions what he is. They stare at each other for a moment, and smiling, he says it's a secret. She gets confused and he complains that Iris is too noisy, telling her to go home. As he walks away, she says she still has questions and won't go home until he answers, but Shu complains she's already stayed there too long. The girl complains. Then the boy uses his magic. She's quickly teleported home. Everyone around is confused, not knowing where she came from, and Iris wonders how Shu can send people away like that. That is a magical power of advanced technology. Even a class of mage can only activate it with multiple people. She thinks about the boy, concluding that she needs to see him one more time. She remembers her parents wishing good things for her. Someone questions why she is so incompetent. It's a man shouting that she can't pass his simple magic test, and he has to teach remedial classes. The girl apologizes to the teacher. With his hand on his head, he says her parents were wonderful and talented sorcerers. The girl watches and apologizes once again. The teacher keeps staring at her and says she should have lost her life. Then Iris apologizes and says that Body wouldn't die even if she wanted it to. Her classmates judge her, saying she's really stupid and a well of magic being wasted for needing remedial classes. The girl isolates herself. She hears the voices of her parents saying that it's okay, that she shouldn't be afraid to keep living, no matter the difficulties. Then she says it's okay and tells her parents not to worry. She'll do her best. In a forest, Shu runs with goblins chasing him. The goblins are agitated. They tell Shu they smell a human female nearby, but the boy denies it. Indignant, he says the Lord of the Forest is absolute and tells the goblins to return to the village. He looks at the scene and starts to think that Iris likes being attacked by monsters while the girl is trapped. He helps her and she thanks him. Shu asks why Iris came back there, and she says it was for him. With tears in her eyes, Iris stares at Shu. Then she asks the boy to teach her magic. The next day, he used level 6 magic. Even the professors at the academy can only use magic up to level 4. In other words, Shu is stronger than them. If she can learn from him, she could stand out at the academy. Throwing herself at his feet, she says she doesn't want to end up useless and tells him he's her last hope. Shu replies that he's self-taught, so he knows very little. But the girl is very tearful. The boy remembers his sister and comments that memories from his past life are very unpleasant. Finally, he agrees to teach the girl, who gets very excited, but he wants something in return, that she teach him everything about that world, the city, academy, magic, and mages. Iris is confused that Shu doesn't know anything and yet can use magic of that level. The boy says he's self-taught. Thoughtful, she says it's true that anyone can learn magic, unlike sorcery. Smiling, she agrees to their exchange. Shu thinks she's not the only one benefiting and that agreement is good enough to live in that world. She begins to explain that first they should talk about the basics of magic. Magic is made of 4 elements and 2 poles. Besides the elements fire, water, wind, and earth, there are 8 poles of yin and yang, so they say the world is made of 12 elements in total. And then magic is used to draw out and interfere with the rules of the world. The creation of artificial phenomena is sorcery. When the magic circle is complete, the magic is activated. Shu says he understood. While he interprets natural phenomena through laws and numbers, these humans understand the world as a concept. If he wants to make water, he follows the laws of physics. For example, fire warms people, it also destroys, water hydrates but also spoils. After categorizing, they use its dual nature to perform magic. Shub asks what the levels are and she responds that magic is classified according to its strength and complexity. Level 1 and 2 spells are lower, 3 and 4 are medium, 5 to 7 are high, and 8 to 15 are considered military level and require special tactical classes as well as containing forbidden spells. Excited, she says now it's his turn. Shu complains that the lesson was short, but the girl says it's an equivalent exchange. The boy asks what kind of magic she wants to learn, and the girl replies, Iris. Shu gets confused. Then she remembers that her name is Iris. Excited, she says she wants the most basic of the wind attribute, level 1. She wants to launch an invisible breeze from a long distance. Shu thinks about the calculations of wind impact. Then he creates a magic circle with breezes and launches a breeze, asking if that's what she wants to learn. Iris gets excited and confirms. He asks if she knows what he did, and the girl says the boy gathered wind power and released it. Shu asks what wind is and where it comes from, but she doesn't know the answer. Then Shu tells her to try. The girl uses all of her strength, but can't create anything. A magic circle begins to form, but it quickly fades. While Iris is hurt, Shu explains that shockwaves are caused by air compression. He applies this to spatial scenarios and acceleration spells. When the technique is triggered, air molecules accelerate in one direction, then they are compressed so quickly that a wave is generated. This creates the shockwave. Her world has a separate formula, chanting to complete magic. If magical power passes through it, the magic will be activated, so there's a reason the circle didn't form. Approaching Iris, Shu says it's because she doesn't understand the nature of things. In chanting, sound is emitted, but it's vague. It's like reading lines from a script aloud. But if you don't understand the context, the play won't flow. Iris realizes she's not a failure, she just doesn't know how to understand. Maybe magic is about understanding the world. No one had told her that before. Shu explains that chanting should be more than just words. If they interpreted it part by part, they might be able to activate magic. For now, they need to try to break down and understand the spells and formations. Iris says she couldn't do that. She was a failure. Smiling, the boy says they'll do it together, and besides, he gains more knowledge. The girl is startled, then looks down. Shu asks what that word is, and the girl translates it as a little. It's the definition of wind that throws shockwaves using circles. Nervously, she says she doesn't know what it means, and Shu says maybe it's that position and writing. The boy has another memory lapse from his childhood and remembers himself as a child asking what something means, and his father says if Samu is very curious. Excited, the child says maybe he'll become a scholar in the future. An impact happens, and a gust of wind appears in Iris' hands. She is shocked. It wasn't very strong, but Iris got excited and said she managed to cast a spell for the first time. Then says no one understood her, she didn't know anything and didn't try to understand anything. Looking at the boy, she says she wants to understand more about him and about magic. Smiling, Shu says he does too. He felt that only gaining knowledge would help him, but the more time he spends with Iris, the more he remembers his past life. It's not a bad feeling. Time passes, and Shu and Iris study magic more and more together. The girl's classmates begin to wonder where she learned and say it must just be a coincidence. They also ask if she sold herself to the teacher. The professors discuss that she's using level 7 magic, but had been hiding this power until now. Everyone is amazed, and besides, she's the daughter of a great mage. Now the name Iris Silverbread is recognized. Her graduation is confirmed. Next year, she will become a holy knight belonging to the demonic cult. Very excited, she goes into the forest to meet Shu and tell them she graduated from the Mage Academy, thanks to him who helped her over the past 2 years. The boy smiles. Then the girl says the boy's expressions have become softer over the years. The boy gets confused and says if that happened, it must have been because of her. As he interacted with the human Iris every day and learned more about that world, he felt his emotions showing. For a long time, he had only felt emptiness, but now he was happy for her. That was definitely Iris's influence. Then he asks what she wants to do now that she's graduated, and the girl says she will get a job at the church of the demonic cult of Eliana and become a holy knight. Shu remembers the holy knight Zekbarat, whom he annihilated. As he walks away, Shu says they should stop seeing each other and says goodbye. Iris is confused. The boy explains that holy knights hunt demons, and Iris confirms, saying demons are completely evil. Shu wonders how they've known each other for 2 years and she still hasn't realized he's a demon. Seriously, she says she would hate never seeing him again, and that she's there because she wanted Shu to see her inauguration ceremony. Every year in the cathedral square, there is a ceremony for graduates who will become Knights of the Holy Order. She wanted Shu to watch the celebration with gratitude. She has no father or mother, so she never had anyone watch a ceremony like that. She had been waiting for this. Shu takes a deep breath and says he will go. She says if he breaks that promise, she'll come after him. The boy agrees. Iris says he also needs to continue teaching her magic, and Shu agrees. Then Iris celebrates excitedly. He smiles, and she holds his hand, saying that he hasn't changed at all. The city is full of banners. There are markets selling all kinds of goods. Shu walks through the city. He stops at a stall and asks if there's going to be a festival. The boy complains that the city is very lively. The man at the stall says it's because the graduation of the new Knights of the Holy Order will happen, and the number of protectors in the city will increase. He asks if Shu is a traveler, since he didn't know that. The boy realized that if he materializes, he can camouflage within civilization. He says he just forgot that the graduation was that day. Someone says demons must be destroyed. It's the bishop, who says that children blessed by magic have become holy knights who will serve that church. Among the graduates is Iris. A man says the sun will soon rise above them to be in the right position. The graduates are all lined up gossiping. Then someone calls for Iris. It's the bishop, who says he remembers her parents, Dahlia and Rose. They were excellent knights. Iris is surprised. The bishop says that, as far as he remembers, they were in the middle of the war. The girl says they died fulfilling their duty, gave their lives to a demon. Touching her shoulder, he offers his condolences and says God is watching over them. If she continues to serve God and destroy demons, she will be rewarded. They must be loyal to the church and annihilate demons sincerely. They are counting on the new graduates. The gate opens. Outside, the entire population celebrates the new knights. Iris says there are so many people, and a boy beside her says it's natural that the people are happy. Few people become holy knights, and the numbers need to increase, even if just a little. She should be proud that they were chosen. As soon as she became a holy knight, she received many blessings. She wonders if she can fight demons and give her life like her parents did. Someone is up in a tree. Iris senses the presence. It's Shu. He came to witness it. Her eyes shine, and the man watches her from afar. It was Shu who brought her to that beautiful, sunny place. She is sure she will be okay. Shu asks her how to read a word, then Iris reads him a passage from the book. The boy asks if she's sure about what she's doing. Even if it's an equivalent exchange, she chose to spend her day teaching him. Iris says it's fine. She wants to do her best for today's mission. After the ceremony, they began meeting in the streets. He learned the language and culture of Iris' country. As always, she continues learning magic in exchange. Lately, the girl has been complaining a lot about her job. She feels she can talk comfortably with Shu, and she wishes the other boys would learn from him. There's nothing she can do if all her coworkers are men, and she's been getting a lot of attention from them. Since she used to be very reckless and got hurt, she learned recovery magic. Shu gets confused, and Iris says it's hard to be seen as the opposite sex when they're all just colleagues working together. She says there's one in particular, a guy named Ymir, who has been bothering her every day. Ymir suddenly shows up and says he never imagined seeing her there, but it must be fate. The girl is in shock. The boy invites her to eat, but the girl says no. She is having a lovely lunch with Shu. She would never go out to eat with her coworker. Ymir is confused. He watches in silence for a moment. Then he asks why she eats with a guy who smells like poverty. The beautiful woman like her should aim higher. He approaches and says she will be part of his family and shouldn't tarnish her dignity. Even if they're not married yet, she should do what her future husband says. Ymir says she has a promising future and should nurture it soon because she will carry his baby. It is a husband's duty to take care of his wife. Shu places his hand on top of the book, then says that this is harassment. Ymir glares at him, furious. Shu says he doesn't like that and tells Ymir to get lost. The man stays silent for a moment, then tells Shu not to tell him what to do and orders him to scram, calling him a piece of book. Iris yells at Ymir not to be rude, and the man says he's an excellent mage who inherited blood from the Ballard family, and Iris is a beautiful woman. He has the right to marry her. The girl tells him not to say anything else and says that Shu is her master, much better than him. Ymir is outraged and asks if she's joking. How could that guy be her master? Then he asks which family Shu is from. Most renowned mages are from famous families. Shu thinks he can't say he's a demon who inherited knowledge from another world, so he says he abandoned his house because the life of a knight wasn't for him. He prefers to study the truths of magic instead of annihilating demons. Ymir laughs and asks if he's a mage, and says he's just a loser who disobeyed his family and can't make a name for himself as a scholar. Iris argues with Ymir, who walks away and wishes the loser good luck. Shu and Iris remain in silence. Finally, she apologizes to him. She sits down, apologizing again, but Shu says she's not the one who should apologize. He's not upset. She tries to say something, but Shu puts a piece of bread in her mouth and says he knows she'll go shopping that afternoon, so they should eat quickly and shake off the sadness. The girl agrees. She gets really excited and tells them to eat, asking Shu to do the same. Behind the wall, Ymir listens to everything. Iris complains that Shu isn't eating anything, and he tells her not to worry. The sun sets. Shu returns to the forest, thinking he didn't know women's shopping took so long, but he managed to return before sunset. Then he opens a magic circle in front of himself. He uses all his power to reveal a person. Shu complains that he's been followed for a while using invisibility magic. A knight in armor is surprised and says Shu is actually good. He saw through his magical cloak. When he removes his helmet, it's revealed to be Ymir, who calls Shu a useless piece of trash. The boy says he didn't know they had invisibility cloaks. The man says he knew from the beginning that Shu wasn't a mage. He might not even be human. Tender darkness is the domain of demons, and no one goes near the forest at night. Being a rank, a holy knight isn't enough. But for a mage, it's suicide. And when he was at the cafe with Iris, Shu didn't order any food. Smiling, Ymir says that's because demons don't eat human food. Shu realizes there's nowhere to run, so he starts using his power. Ymir yells that the monster is revealing itself and that he truly doesn't deserve her. He tries to strike Shu, who notices his sword is invisible. Shu reflects that the guy isn't hiding his hostility, so there's nothing left but to fight. But that might cause problems for Iris. He fears she'll be sad. Therefore, he will try not to annihilate the guy. Shu says he knows he works with Iris, so he'll let him leave alive. Ymir asks if Shu is pretending to be human, acting merciful, and says he'll have to get rid of her pests either way. So they'll finish off Shu right there in the name of magic. He tries to strike with his sword, but Shu uses his magic circle to defend himself. Ymir is outraged at the instant activation without chanting. It's not something easy even for a rank 5 holy knight. Shu says it's a reflective spell that reverses body movement to reflect the damage of enhanced force. Apparently, Ymir is capable on his own. He is an excellent knight. Then he tells Ymir that he can't end his life, because he is weaker. Ymir becomes furious. He starts trying to strike Shu over and over, shouting at him to get out of his way and that he is the one Iris deserves. Shu keeps defending himself with his magic. Then he hears a man scream that that woman is his slave. She is a strong mage and he will impregnate her and bring more prosperity to the Ballard family. Fate has already been sealed. Shu remembers Iris's sweet face. Then he uses the implantation of a magic formation cutting area, and in a single move he cuts off Ymir's head and hands. The knight falls to the ground, lifeless. The man dies saying that Shu is pretending to be human. Shu steps closer and says he pretends better than him. Now, if the holy knight dies in the Eldera forest, there will be trouble, so he uses movement magic. At another moment, a bell rings. Iris comments that Ymir was killed just beyond the city walls. Shu asks if it was the work of a demon. She says no. The fact that he was cut by a very sharp blade suggests it was a mage. Her co-workers were the first suspects. They showed her Ymir's body. That cut, she remembers seeing it before. Shu asks if the culprit is a mage. Iris looks at Shu for a moment and confirms that the culprit is a mage. Iris says that world is dangerous to live in, but somehow that helped her. Shu asks about that and she confirms, saying she finally has normalcy at work. The boy pretends to be impressed. At night, a woman looks at the sky and says an evil star shines in the south. She stares intently. Two girls talk about how beautiful the princess looks when she uses magic. She is in the middle of her prophecy. The princess continues, saying that medicinal plants spread beneath. There are two portals. One is a wooden door and the other is a door of resentment made of flesh and blood. A man may pass through either one. The princess opens one of the doors. Behind it is a skeleton, who says the day of choice is near. She looks sad and stunned, and the girls beside her become worried about Kimiko and tell her to drink some water and rest. A man says that everyone is about to see the future that Princess Kimiko predicted. It's probably about the Demon King. The elders present begin to say that it's impossible for that superior being of disaster level to appear. The man leading the table says the prophecy isn't very clear, but it says an evil star was born at the time of the Demon King. Maybe now a new Demon King will be born. One of the men says they must act quickly before he becomes king. The place with medicinal plants is likely the Eldera forest. You must send a messenger and reinforcements to the forest. They must not fall behind. They begin to say they'll take care of it and argue over who among them will take the lead in the situation. The man takes a deep breath and says there are 2 portals. They must open the right door. In the monster village in Eldera Forest, everything functions as usual. The monsters buy and sell goods. Shu observes that over the last 5 years, that place has become a decent community. Goblins, orcs, and demon boars have accumulated magical power and intelligence. Their individuality has emerged. Now he can communicate easily with the more powerful demons like goblin kings and high-rank boars. The position they gave him, Demon Master, is just a formality. It wasn't as bad as it seemed. Maybe this feeling is attachment. A goblin approaches and says he has a report. Those who were out hunting encountered humans, and more than half were annihilated. Shu asks if they were near the forest entrance, and the goblin replies no, it was deep in the forest near the village. The boy is startled. There's no reason for mages to go there. No one has ventured that deep in years, besides they can wipe out evolved monsters. The boy reflects that he doesn't know why those holy knights are there, but if it's a demon hunt, it will be bad, because the village wasn't built with that in mind. Shu asks the Goblin King to hurry and request a very strong thread. They need rope as much as possible. They'll make a last-minute trap. The rest will be developed by him. By perfecting a new magic, they'll be able to launch a guerrilla-style attack. But Shu wonders what they'll do if they really are holy knights. Iris might be among them, but Shu remembers she said she was handling trafficking the other day, so he doesn't need to worry about running into her. The boy withdraws. According to the scouts, the demons that lived in the interior of the forest were mid to high rank, and until they found their shelter in the inhospitable Eldera forest, it was unusual to find such a large population of high-ranked demons. According to detection magic, there are 200 to 300. Since there are many in one place, they assume they are following some superior. The nest is growing. There was a similar report once in the king's land. A bishop says most demons create leaders to keep them in line. The high-ranked demon boar and the high-rank orc are probably the candidates. A girl asks if, this time, it's different. Then the bishop comments that he foresees that this leader is the king of the wicked star from Princess Kimiko's prophecy. They say he could destroy 1 or 2 countries, and that's very rare. The bishop says that, according to the prophecy, his existence has not fully awakened. They must crush any seeds of potential now. They need to end it quickly. If they make the wrong choice, that country will perish. Everyone whose names are called will participate and go immediately to the forest. Reinforcements will take time to arrive, and they must fulfill their duty as soon as possible. He begins calling names, starting with Lord Zamus Schliff. All those present are of notable rank, and the bishop wants to take credit before reinforcements arrive. Finally, he calls Iris Silverbread. A boy in front says that with her in the group, there'll be a match for hundreds. A woman says she'll assign someone else to handle drug investigations so Iris can focus on defeating demons. Those who stay must strengthen security. At last, the bishop blesses all of them. Iris thinks that 3 years ago she became a holy knight, and this is her first great battle. The same duty as her parents. She will do her best. A girl comes up to Iris and says she knows she's probably nervous, but the vanguard will give it their best. They leave in an hour. Iris realizes they need to go right then. She wishes she could have said something to Shu, since she doesn't know if she'll be home before the next holiday. Shu guides the goblins and places a rope between trees, hanging things on it. The enemy will head toward the sound. That way, they'll know if there's an intruder, but they shouldn't expect much success. The enemy has the power to wipe them out, so they must not lower their guard. Shu says he will also leave for a while to study magic. He calls the Goblin King and asks him to take care of the village while Shu is away. The king stares at him, then agrees. If the holy knights reach the middle of the forest, Shu won't have much time before they advance. If the new magic circle is completed in time, it will greatly help protect the village. But there's a problem. His magic starts to fail. Shu is startled. He keeps trying, but he can't. He doesn't have enough time or magical power to do it. What he's trying to do is make the magic circle 3-dimensional and reduce it to release more magic. Generally, stronger circles spread out farther. So he experimented with making more compact magic circles, minimizing their range and energy consumption. It's very difficult. He needs to generate several modules like a flat circle, stack them, and connect them with a vertical circle. The vertical magic circle is compressed and loaded with magic. The structure can be imagined but not completed in time. The construction method is so different from the conventional that it's hard to give it a proper form. He needs to get stronger. Shu can't believe he subconsciously thought he had to protect that place. It must be attachment. He's changed a lot since he arrived there. Suddenly, he hears a sudden noise. That's the direction of the village. Sometime earlier, some goblins came to the king and asked where Shu was. He replied that he was near the stream to develop his magic. The goblins said he's very dedicated, and they hadn't noticed he was trying to get stronger. Smiling, the goblin king said Shu is a strong man. While they're talking, the trap starts making noise, which catches their attention. The enemies are heading in that direction, and the goblins prepare to strike them down. They prepare to fight, but a noise comes from behind. It's a knight who strikes the goblins. Everyone is startled, and the knight mocks them. He comments that they're smart enough to set traps, but not to make plans. The rope can detect enemies, but they can also just follow the ropes. The man narrows his eyes and says the monsters saved him the trouble of searching. The goblins find themselves surrounded by knights. They approach, and their leader says the battle of annihilation begins now. A man points to the map and says that is the deepest part of the Eldera forest. It's the home of high-ranked demons. They will destroy the lair and annihilate the king. They will form groups of 5 with the vanguard and rear guard and surround the village. When he gives the signal, they will attack together. Iris can only think about the depths of the Eldera forest. The group of knights advances, saying they will wipe out the damned demons. The bishop wishes that all will be blessed and victorious. The leader gives the signal to attack. The monsters charge, but the man strikes back. With a quick blow, he splits the goblin in half. The group of knights starts using all their magic to fight. One of them launches thorny vines toward the demon boars. He shouts for his companion to attack. Then a dark portal opens beneath Asura and her piglets. She cries, before being swallowed by the darkness without mercy. The knights celebrate that they managed to annihilate her. The boy says he was afraid because of the prophecy, but they are very weak. The village will soon collapse. He starts to walk, and says he will join the commanders in another unit and prove his worth, so Iris will praise him. Suddenly, he falls into a pit. It's a trap, and his companion asks if he's okay. The boy wonders why they dug that hole if mid- and low-ranked demons don't have intelligence. His companion tells the boy he's not hurt and to get up. It's dangerous to stay in an enemy trap no matter how powerful you are. Suddenly, something happens. The boy in the trap panics. His friend vanishes, and at the top is a goblin. The boy is terrified. The goblin remembers Shu telling him that that pit has hidden magic. When the prey falls into the hole, it must be eliminated immediately while its guard is down. A very strong blow is needed. The goblin raises his axe, then jumps into the pit to strike. The boy closes his eyes, ready to face his end. But something pierces the monster's head, scaring the boy. It's Rubelius, one of the leaders. He looks at the rookie and tells him to never lower his guard. Textbooks are different from real life. The boy's friend appears. Climbing out of the pit, the boy is happy, and his friend says he called their superiors to help. One of the older men says they'll take care of the rest of the area so the kids can go and join the southern unit. But first, let Iris check their wounds. The 2 boys leave, cheerful. One of the men says they finished that part quickly. The other agrees but says they still need to find the king. So far, they've only seen small pig demons and goblins. Suddenly, he sees something and points, saying someone is approaching. It's Shu. The boy sees all his goblins lifeless on the ground. They were all annihilated. He feels anger. One of the knights says that place is dangerous and tells Shu to leave. It's a forbidden zone. Full of rage, the boy condemns the knights to death, then uses domain slash. The knight is frightened by the immediate activation of the spell. In a matter of seconds, the knights lose their heads. Desperate, Rubelius shouts that they are holy knights under orders to annihilate demons. They don't want to hurt any humans. Shu is confused, then remembers he forgot to undo the materialization that makes him appear human. Rubelius gets angry. He says that Shu has already killed 2 knights, so he does not intend to forgive that evil. Shu says they were the ones who destroyed his home, and he will not tolerate that barbarity. He uses gravity magic, and Rubelius falls to the ground. His body suddenly becomes heavy. Then he uses physical enhancement and slowly begins to stand up. He slams his sword into the ground with force and breaks the magic circle. Shu observes that he is strong. He easily broke his magic circle. Perhaps that knight is even stronger than him. Rubelius thinks Shu is strong. He wonders if he is a foreign enemy mage, but that magic circle doesn't exist in any country. He shouts that he will defeat Shu and make him regret what he did to the Order of Holy Knights. The man charges at high speed to attack. Shu is almost struck, but manages to escape using teleportation. Rubelius is shocked but says he won't let him get away. With a quick strike, he cuts off Shu's arm with his sword. He says that unfortunately, he didn't hit his heart, but he managed to slash his shoulder. Something strange happens and Rubelius is startled. It's Shu's arm regenerating. Then Rubelius realizes that Shu is a spirit demon capable of materializing. The knight says that this is convenient because now he can annihilate Shu without hesitation or guilt. The man activates the lightning on his sword. Shu is shocked. White lightning converges on the sword in an incredible amount. If he is hit, his body will explode. He doesn't know how he can defeat the knight. All he can do is run. He grabs a little potion and throws it at Rubelius. The man is hit in the face. He screams and asks what that was. Shu charges forward. The explosives he has created an opening. Then he uses the domain slash, but nothing happens. Rubelius says that magic is very strange. At the moment it manifests, there is a delay of 1/10 of a second, so it's possible to avoid the strike. The man says his name is Rubelius Raud, a holy knight of Ildura, and cannot be defeated by a mere spirit. Shu wonders if this is his end, but he remembers that the knights attacked his village for no reason at all. He needs to fight back and survive. Then something comes to his mind. Rubelius says there won't be a next time. He will use all of his magical power to annihilate the boy in a single strike. Shu opens a magic circle beneath the man's feet. Rubelius is confused. Several magic circles appear and Rubelius dodges them. Then he says that even a little child could escape from that, and Shu seems desperate and is wasting time. But Shu looks confident. Rubelius says that unfortunately the magic has fully charged and the boy will perish in one blow. The boy looks at the man's feet and says here goes another one. Rubelius prepares to attack and yells that this will be the end of Shu, a stupid monster. The man gets into an attack stance, but falls into a hole. A very strong and powerful light shoots up into the sky that would have been the attack that hit Shu. The boy looks at it and thinks about how much magical power that is. Good thing he dug those holes with the others. Inside the pit, Rubelius disintegrates. Someone calls out to Shu. The boy looks. It's the goblin. He apologizes for not being able to defeat the humans and protect the village. The boy picks the goblin up in his arms. He asks the young man to absorb his magic. Even if it's just a part of what he was, he'd be happy to be with Shu. The goblin concludes that he can only think that way thanks to the boy and thanks him. Shu feels sadness, then absorbs the goblin's magic. His arm regenerates. With his hand on his head, Shu decides he's going to take down all the knights. Elsewhere, knights fight against goblins. Iris is there. A demon approaches and she uses the lightning magic circle. The monster is quickly destroyed, and the girl is happy. Another girl approaches and says that it's not enough for Iris to be one of the best young mages in the world. She's also good with wind magic, and now she can do everything on her own. Iris says everyone is doing well because they're following in their master's footsteps. She's in the rear guard, so it's like being a veteran. It's useless to be alone. The woman places a hand on her head and says Iris is a good girl. Now that they're done there, they should regroup with the other unit. A signal rises in the sky. It's the sign of a death and alpha. They move forward. In the village, everyone gathers. Some ask about Rubelius, but they think he's fine and will show up later. The goblins lie lifeless on the ground. Iris helps the knights heal. A boy tells Iris that a disaster-class monster is very rare. It can increase the organizational strength of the others. Another says that this time it's not just a disaster. The leader of the demons has a peculiar habit, and he's not sure even a rank it could defeat him. Iris gets nervous about the situation. She remembers when a hooded man came to her house to say her parents had died in battle trying to defeat the disaster class. In other words, she no longer had parents. Before they died, they looked at each other. Iris knows they are different types of demons, but to her, it's still revenge for taking her parents. She's sure the captain defeated the leader earlier, and one day she will too. The group reaches another part of the village. A knight is there and says they took too long. Everyone asks if that is the disaster class, and where the others are. A man says he tied him up with the magic armor and annihilated all the rest. Iris tries to get closer. On the way, there's a lifeless goblin. Iris tries to get closer. Then she sees it's Shu on the ground, restrained. The girl is speechless. The boy looks at her sadly. Worried, the girl tries to approach her friend. A man rests atop a pile of bodies. A woman approaches and tells Zamus that the goblins left behind by the Demon King are still around. They're not very strong, but there are many of them. Zamus says they'll wait a little longer, as reinforcements will arrive soon. Then he says that any individual reaching disaster class has a bizarrely high intellect, and he's sure it's one of them leading the goblins. The woman says they should keep hunting those weaklings. Maybe the leader will appear to avenge them. Excited, Zamus says he's looking forward to it. He leaves the cleanup to his colleague. All the bodies are burned. In life, the goblins no longer try to attack or defend themselves. A boy says they are stubborn and repugnant and tells his companion to attack. He casts Wind Level 5, Wind Blade. A goblin throws himself in front of another and is sliced in half, falling lifeless to the ground, leaving everyone in the village shaken. The boy realizes the goblin acted as his shield and wonders if monsters have a sense of companionship. Captain Zamus appears and orders them to switch to long-range magic while he takes the vanguard and reaps as many as he can. The group of goblins tells the king that the man is a formidable opponent and they don't stand a chance in this fight. The Goblin King remembers Shu's request for him to take care of the village, so the monster closes his eyes, accepting his fate. The knights begin to advance, but Shu suddenly appears behind the two boys. They are startled. Quickly, Shu condemns them, and both are split in half. Zamus is up front and notices the strange movement. Shu is filled with hatred. With all this fury, he approaches Zamus, saying he's going to blow him up. The man is frightened, but before he can do anything, his face swells and explodes. His head falls off his body. Shu thinks the vibration magic amplified the shock. If he'd have fought Zamus head-on, he would have lost. The knight has an abnormal amount of power. A strange liquid starts moving inside Zamus's head. Shu wonders if it's blood and concludes something is wrong. The head dissolves, turning into liquid and begins to move. A whirlpool of water forms. The boy is frightened. Zamus starts laughing. While regenerating with the water, he says trying to blow him up was a good idea, but didn't go very well. With his head restored, Zamus says he thought a water body would be more versatile. Angrily, Zamus says Shu will pay for the lives of his companions. The boy is scared that Zamus emerged from a whirlpool of water into a human form. He remembers Iris explaining that there are many types of magical garments. For example, using pests to create armor that only affects the wearer, or armor that transforms into a magical shape-shifting instrument. Shu tells the goblin he'll hold off Zamus and orders the village to flee. Zamus realizes Shu is the leader of the village and draws his sword. The goblin asks Shu to forgive him. He failed to follow his orders and asks to at least stay by his side. Iris is lying on the ground. Shu greets her good morning and says she was sleeping because she studied too much. The girl pinches his cheek, then says it's true because he's still warm. Then she apologizes and says she's happy and calm. Excited, she says to Shu that it all felt like a dream and asks why he's there and why the captain captured him. Zamus says they went there to defeat the king of the Wicked Star and the demons who followed him, so it's time to return to the city. A boy is shocked by Ira's reaction and says it's like she knows that demon. Someone grabs her and tells her to stay away from him. It's the woman who accompanies Iris who tells the girl not to act recklessly. Even restrained, he's still dangerous and could attack. Iris says it's okay and Shu would never attack her. But the woman yells that Iris doesn't understand what she's saying. Zamus stays silent for a moment and asks if they know each other. Everyone in the group is speechless and completely shocked that Iris knows Shu. They feel disgust and fear toward her. Shu realizes he can't confirm that fact, so he says no, he doesn't know her. Demons and humans are not friends. Iris looks at him shocked. Shu asks her to pretend she doesn't know him. The current situation is very disadvantageous. The domain slash ability, which is a deadly magic, is useless against the water ability. Life absorption doesn't work when there's an immense difference in magical power. He has no choice. For now, he must prioritize Iris's safety, live a little to make her life easier. Zamus is relieved and says there's no way a holy knight could be acquainted with a demon who annihilated his comrades. All the knights there begin to feel afraid because Shu annihilated several of them. A boy realizes that Rubelius was probably taken down too. Zamus comments that demons are entirely evil creatures that must be destroyed. A holy knight being friends with one is an extremely serious betrayal. Finally, he asks Iris if they know each other. Shu yells that he doesn't know her, but Zamus covers his mouth, telling him to stay quiet, and questions Iris. Her companion squeezes her arm, but the girl makes a decision. She says that Shu is her master. The girl says he taught her magic over the last 5 years, and if it weren't for him, she wouldn't even be there. Shu looks at her, desperate, and Iris says she's indebted to him. She can't pretend this time. The girl lets go of her companion's hand, who tries to say something. Zamus asks if she knew he was a demon. Iris says she just found out at that moment, but the truth is, she didn't want to find out. Zamus says that's a shame, he always thought she was a good knight. Angrily, he yells that she's a traitor. Then he attacks her with water. Shu steps in front of her to protect her. The girl feels happy. Zamus notices he's using that strange magic again. Through the bindings of the magic suit, life absorption absorbed the magical power and turned it into mere water. He managed to escape because Zamus was distracted by Iris. If they catch him again, he doubts he'll be able to do it a second time. Iris tries to say something, but Shu asks why she didn't stay quiet. The girl says she didn't want to be Shu's enemy. The boy is speechless, then thanks her. Suddenly, he's hit. A water strike pierces his chest. Zamus yells that the traitor's punishment will have to wait. They need to annihilate Shu and avenge the comrades who lost their lives. They all charge to attack Shu. Iris immediately objects and yells for them not to attack her friend. Shu uses his magic to deflect the attacks. Iris asks her fellow knight to help her convince the others, but he's holding her back. The arrows that hit the magic circle are instantly deflected and redirected back toward the knights. The girl says Shu is her mentor and a good person. Zamus comments that Shu has a few magic tricks, so the knights should be careful. The boy holding Iris gets nervous and asks if she's going to betray them, if she's not their friend. He says that if she betrays them, she's a witch. Someone uses 2nd level earth magic, Vine Cage. Thus, they trap Shu. Zamus uses 3rd level water magic and creates a water prison around the boy. Shu notes that this is a level 9 confinement method. A woman approaches with her staff and says this is a relic of someone Shu annihilated, then tells him to repent and apologize while he meets death. Shu says he only annihilated because he didn't want to die. Demons and humans are the same. They all want to live and are resisting until the end. The woman yells at Shu to shut up and attacks him, saying that monsters are evil and must be annihilated. Her magic goes toward the boy. He implants vibration magic and manipulates the refraction of light to reflect the attack. Thus, he diverts the attack far away, leaving everyone frightened. A boy calls for the captain. Zamus asks if they should finish it now. The same vibration magic is used to slow down the molecular vibrations of the water, cooling the whole shell. Once frozen, it can be destroyed. Shu freezes the water surrounding him and breaks the prison. Next, he only needs to burn the vines to escape the magic. But before he can react, he is hit by a water attack. Shu falls to the ground, badly wounded, and Zamus asks if he really thought he could escape. The man raises his sword and prepares for a final strike. He tells the demon to receive the blow of his magic armor and give up trying to use magic against him. Shu looks at him with fury. A sword comes down toward him, and the boy thinks this is it. He couldn't stop it. He was weak. He had only one regret. Zamis uses lightning impact, but something hits his sword. It lands right next to Shu's head. Then the boy is pulled away. He falls far from there and feels confused. Zamis realizes he missed the attack. Then he realizes what happened and asks what the girl is doing there. Iria is standing before him using her power to protect Shu. The girl is serious. The boy calls out to Iris. He says it's not too late and asks her to say it's all a lie. If she does, she'll be forgiven. But the girl pushes him and uses wind impact. The boy cries on the ground. Zamis says he was thinking of forgiving her and assuming it was all just a breakdown, but now she's standing in his way. The girl says she can't do that. Iris can't do that. She can't just stand by and watch Shu be annihilated. Zamis is shocked. He stands there staring at the girl. Shu is badly injured and thinks that Iris could use the impact to disarm Zamis. Everyone's attention is on the two of them. She gave him an opportunity. He needs to turn the tables somehow. A plan to evolve. Zamis strikes Iris in the legs. The girl screams in overwhelming pain. She falls to the ground with her legs injured. Her companion asks what Zamis did, and he says she'll live. Her healing power will keep her alive. The punctured wound will be constantly destroyed and regenerated. It will be a permanent pain. That's even worse than death itself. Zamis asks if the woman plans to help Iris and says that if she does, she'll be just as guilty. The woman kneels beside Iris, then says that Iris was bewitched by love. Zamis is confused, and the woman says it's a magic that manipulates and confuses the heart of others, making them lose their reason. The man says that was just a fairy tale. Then the woman yells that Iris would never act so stupidly. She's obsessed with the magic, and that's why she's protecting the demon. She approaches Zamis and says it's a power greater than the girl. But Zamis becomes serious and says there will be no more mercy. Iris is fated to face the Inquisition. Until the sentence is given, she must suffer in agony according to the will of God. The woman yells that Iris is part of their team. Zamis yells back that she betrayed them first. Meanwhile, Iris writhes in pain on the ground. Shu stops beside her. He places his hand on her face and wipes her tears. The woman sees Shu near the girl. She immediately runs over and yells for him to get away from her. Shu stands up. The woman stares at him serious. Shu looks at her with a dark expression. She becomes nervous, sweating cold, and reflects. Then looks at Iris, crying in pain on the ground. The woman takes a deep breath and asks Shu to help her. Immediately, Shu begins dismembering everyone around. One by one, they are split. Heads fall, bodies are cut in half. Even Zamis is struck. He screams at Shu, asking how he dared. Shu attacks Zamis one last time. He says it's disgusting for a monster to teach a human and yells for Shu to perish. The boy says he'll be the one to end Zamis. He doesn't want anyone else to do it. Zamis screams that Shu is a demon. Then he dissolves into water. Shu gathers his strength and delivers the final blow, absorbing Zamis' life. He absorbs all that power and magic until Zamis disintegrates. In the end, only the empty armor falls to the ground. Now he hears more clearly, a calling from the depths of the forest. With the lives of all the holy knights absorbed, he brings about their end. And with his immense magical power, he will transform the spirit into a new race. The name of this new race will be Dead Spirit. Shu begins generating a new form of life. Iris notices that the holes in her knees have healed and watches Shu. She looks, and before her is the head of her companion. She tells Iris that she is a traitorous witch, then loses her life. Iris observes the bodies of all her former companions lying destroyed on the ground. Shu approaches, worried about her injuries. The girl is angry and says so he really is a demon. Shu apologizes for not telling her that before, but he won't apologize for annihilating the knights because he also lost many lives. Amid so many feelings, he ended up forming an attachment to those creatures. And the sadness of losing them, of course, Iris must be feeling the same. Shu has no intention of letting them take Iris from him, the only person who didn't want to see him lifeless. Shu says he didn't want to lose his life, so he had to annihilate the knights. He asks with his head down if she hates him. The girl is stunned for a moment, then asks what he's talking about. It's impossible for her to hate him. In the end, she was saved. The two look at each other. The girl says she wants to stay with Shu, and as a holy knight, she must take responsibility. Shu will do her duty as a holy knight and return to Ildana to report to the bishop. Everyone in the squad was annihilated by the demon king, and he would never harm the city. She's certain that it is her will to walk beside someone so kind, even if it means betraying those who once stood by her side. More important than anything, Shu saved her life. Shu agrees and says he won't go near Ildana as long as Iris stays close. It's a promise. He looks at the girl. The girl gets excited, then realizes she grabbed his hand without asking first. The boy holds her hand and says he'll make one more promise to her. He will protect her even if the whole world becomes his enemy. That's a promise. The girl is speechless. Shu stares at her and interlocks his fingers with hers. Iris starts crying and leans on Shu. Night falls. Shu says he's going back to the forest and needs some time to restore his powers. Iris says she's going to the city. and asks what will happen if she doesn't return. Shu says he'll definitely come for her. Then Iris leaves. The bishop asks, without emotion, how the holy knights were annihilated. A woman asks what the name of the survivor is. A man is speechless. He can't believe it was Iris Silverbread who survived. They sent more than 20 holy knights and only one returned alive. God chose good children to sacrifice. The orders are for no one to know this happened. He never imagined his knights could be annihilated. He sent knights strong enough. Iris enters the hall and introduces herself, saying she has returned. The bishop says it's difficult. He knows she is tired from her long journey, but they need her to speak about her recent battle. He heard that the whole troop was lost except her. This is the demon of the cruel star from the prophecy, one who can defeat even elite holy knights. Iris explains that the demon became king with immense magical power. The bishop says that's ridiculous. It lost to a trivial demon. Iris says they were all overwhelmed by him and perished. If she talks about Shu, the church will send all the holy knights, and this time they will come prepared. She must avoid that at all costs. So she will mix the truth with a little lie. Iris says the great demon king destroyed everyone and spared her to send her as a messenger to convince the humans not to attack anymore. He will do the same. One of the men is shocked that the demon is demanding something. They shouldn't even be able to reason like that. A woman asks the bishop if that is the demon of the wicked star, and the old man says that if they don't attack anymore, they won't lose more people. But there's also the prophecy. Iris says she thinks it's better to leave him alone. If he doesn't come to the forest, he won't be attacked. A man walks up to Iris and says that sounds like a lie. The girl is startled, and he says it smells like a lie hiding an important truth. Iris gets nervous. A man tells Gremlin to speak clearly if he has something to say. He asks if his comrade didn't notice that there's a contradiction in her story. Why was the army of holy knights so easily defeated while she remained unharmed? Even with the power of immortality, she has limits. Of course, she has rank of magical power, but Zamus had stronger combat power and equipment. So how was she the only one to survive? Only she was spared. Gremlin yells for her answer. She needs to say it, but she can't, and she doesn't know why. She can't speak. Her body won't move. Iris is terribly frightened. Gremlin grabs the girl's hair and says, smiling, that the girl is lying after years serving as an inquisitor, his obedient and devout soul, the god told him. So it's time for her to speak the truth. He yells for her to tell what really happened in the forest. Iris panics and says that demon is a special type and defeated everyone. Even the captain's magical equipment was destroyed in an instant. The demon's race is spirit. It's just a spirit. At first, he was caught by the captain and forced into a disadvantaged position, but suddenly a magic circle appeared and instantly sliced everyone into pieces. A clean cut. An old man says that must be a spirit that controls death, with the power to absorb life. With all that power, he managed to defeat the captain. He used his dark magic, and the captain's body was consumed, vanishing without a trace. And with the captain's death magic, he transformed into a spirit of death. The bishop comments that monsters who acquire unique abilities are called legends. They are the Monster Kings. He is special because he can trigger awakening. His power changes color and can shake the earth. They call this power the Wall of Magic. A young man is shocked. The prophecy of the wicked star. That is the monster. Iris realizes that Shu is the Monster King they've been hunting. The bishop says what he feared is happening. The prophecy of the princess is coming true. A woman asks if this only happened because they sent the holy knights. The magical power of one holy knight is equivalent to 200 regular soldiers. The bishop says 20 elite knights are worth more than the entire army of the continent. That's why he gained so much power, and a simple spirit became the spirit of death. Thus, he became the king. An old man starts yelling at the bishop that he should have waited to send the knights. The bishop snaps back, saying he was involved in the decision too. Everyone starts arguing. A young man tells the bishop to stop trying to blame them for the extermination of his comrades. A knight says they'll call for reinforcements. The bishop says not to do that, but the young man says the bishop is just afraid of his failure being exposed. They need to avenge their comrades. Especially now that the Demon King has been born, they must deal with this. When reinforcements arrive, it'll be time to invade. He just became king, so there's still a chance of victory. Someone asks them to wait. It's Iris, who says that Shu won't attack them. If they don't do anything, they won't be attacked. So she asks them not to go to the forest. Gremlin asks if Shu will keep his word. Iris can't resist and tells the truth, saying that he was the one who taught her magic and promised her not to attack the city, but they need to leave him alone. Furious, Gremlin asks if Iris betrayed her allies. She tries to say no, but Gremlin insists that she talks with demons and led her comrades into a trap in the forest. He yells that's why only she survived. Now it all makes sense. It was her fault. She's a traitor, and he thought it. The blood doesn't lie. The bishop says Gremlin is right, and she was the one responsible for her comrades being defeated, and asks for the message to the capital to include that they captured the witch who betrayed her friends and aided the demon lord. They will deal with her and prepare the execution. Everyone seizes Iris and says it's up to Gremlin now. He agrees and tells them to leave it to him. Time passes. In the forest, several graves are made. Shu fights against monsters. He takes the magic and the creatures he finds along the way. That death magic, it explains how the world works and the laws of magic. He can take life with a single touch. Death itself is an indescribable force. If used incorrectly, it can lead to the wrong place. He feared accidentally annihilating Iris, but now it's all right. Several creatures watch Shu from a distance. They want to get close, but they're afraid. The boy stares at them, then turns to them and prepares to welcome them. The creatures get excited, then approach the boy. They're just low-level spirits. He believes there are no more demon boars or goblins nearby. Everything there has gone very quiet. Shu remembers Iris talking to him about magic, food, and random things. The boy stays silent for a while, then flies into the sky with the other spirits. He heads to the city to find Iris. Shu knocks on the door to see if she answers. No one answers, so he thinks about waiting inside. She had already said he could do that and even have a key for himself. The boy uses his magic and unlocks the lock, then enters the house. Everything's empty. Shu walks around. The plants are dead. He picks up a picture frame with a photo of Iris' parents and is shocked at what he sees. Desperately, he runs out of the house, yelling for Iris. The boy heads toward the church. A carriage moves away from the city. Inside it is Iris. It's not like there weren't worries. If everything went wrong, they'd end up fighting like with Zamas. But Iris is stubborn. She yelled at Shu that he should trust her, that everything would be fine. But now the boy thinks that didn't happen. He searched for Iris using his magic sense, but got no response. Probably. She's being held captive in the cathedral, the heart of the city, where all the holy knights gather. Shu walks through the streets of the city. He enhances his concealment magic. It won't be easy to enter the building in his spirit form. Something catches his attention. The cathedral is the headquarters of the holy knights. They must have strict security and a magic canceling system. He would be discovered quickly, and if Iris is being held hostage, that would be the end for her. Shu reflects. He needs to deal with the possibility of that happening, and has to decide what to do. Shu catches someone's attention. The man calls out to him. It's the vendor who had seen him in the city before. He asks if Shu brought money that time. The boy looks at him. Elsewhere in the city, a guard thanks the man for his services. He and Shu enter a place. The boy pulls a cart. An old man complains that the man is late. He says he took time selecting the best, then displays amazing fish, saying he brought fresh ingredients. The old man says the guy got lucky, and next time he's late, he'll replace him. He better cook well. The old man keeps talking nonstop, and Shu slips away quietly. He heads toward a door, checks if a man is watching, and sneaks into it discreetly. Shu walks silently. Luckily, he found someone to help him. He managed to enter the cathedral without losing his human form. Shu told the man that he came from the capital to find his sister and wanted to surprise her. Calmly, the man said he would help him get into the cathedral, but he wanted the boy to help him with something in return. Shu agreed. The man even told Shu to relax because they wouldn't get caught. He already wanted to leave the city anyway. He wants to see how this ends. The boy has a strange feeling. He is not a demon hostile to humans. He reflects that he's lived among humans and was helped by them constantly. The boy stops. Someone asks if the other heard something. It was about the traitor witch. Shu is startled and walks away. The boy walks down the corridor and comes across a priest who questions what someone from outside is doing there. Shu punches him. The magic students talk about how she broke before the silence order was even issued in the forest. Shu approaches and asks if they can tell him more about that story. They wonder who Shu is, but he's wearing the priest's robe, so the kids feel at ease and agree to tell him what they know. Though as a priest, he should already know everything. Realizing the situation, Shu says he's a recent arrival and wants to catch up. They used to explain that a few weeks ago, a team disappeared in the forest. The only survivor was punished as a traitor. Now a new team was formed to go to the forest. Shu reflects that this isn't what he wanted to know and asks where the traitor is now, if she was isolated in some kind of prison. Smiling, the student says she was taken to the royal capital to be burned at the stake. The boy is shocked, and the student says that's how the church handles things. In the capital, the girl's soul and body will be purified by flames while she begs for forgiveness. He laughs, saying he learned that in school, and it's very nostalgic. Shu begins to say something, and asks why they're laughing. The boy is startled, and apologizes, wondering why that priest is angry at him. The girl laughs and says it's because that's a fitting end. Shu looks at her, furious. Then the girl explains that Iris was a holy knight, but there were always bad rumors about her. Smiling, she says she was a classmate of Iris, so she knew her very well. She was terrible and couldn't even use magic. She had failed as a person. Suddenly, she improved her grades. The rumors were that she used her body to seduce everyone around her. A boy tries to warn the girl that it's time for her to shut up, but she was on and says that later Iris was even called Rank A. But all of that is just a lie. She's not that good. Even taking advantage of the subdued group, she must have used her body to defeat them. After everything, she betrayed the church. She was the worst of all. Excited, the girl says she's nothing like Iris. She had excellent grades and lots of magical power. Soon she'll be a great holy knight. Shu exclaims, and asks if she's done talking crap. The girl is startled as the boy's hand reaches toward her. He grabs her by the shirt. One of the students begs Shu not to be violent. Meanwhile, the girl complains that it hurts and tells Shu he had his hands off her. She screams for him to let her go. Getting close to the girl, Shu tells her that Iris is not the kind of person they should be laughing at. The girl asks why. and asks why a priest would say such a thing about the girl. Then she screams that she knew Iris was selling her body, and he must be in love with Iris, so she tells the boy to stop touching her with those filthy hands. The student tells Shu to calm down and the girl to shut up, but something catches his attention, and he asks why Shu used Iris' name if he wasn't supposed to know who the traitor was. Shu looks at him. Then he says it's because Iris is his disciple. Finally, he attacks the girl. His dark magic is very strong. One of the students notices it's a demon, another mentions the dark aura. Then they realize Shu came from the Eldera forest. Shu approaches the girl and tells her not to stay so quiet and to pay for laughing at Iris. Cynically, the girl tells him to go to hell. Shu is serious. Then he drains her life and the girl disintegrates quickly until not even her bones remain. Only her clothes fall to the ground. The group is frightened. One of them says they should call for reinforcements, but another shouts that whoever annihilates Shu will be promoted, so they should get ready to attack. Shu tells them not to mourn their friend's death. One of them asks what that monster is talking about. Shu stares at the group. Then he drains the life from the group members, leaving only one. The remaining boy falls to the ground in fear. Shu asks him which path to take to find Iris. The boy replies that he should exit through the north gate and follow the northeastern road. Then Shu remembers the city to the northeast is the one with the cemetery. The boy laughs and says that even if Shu hurries, by the time he gets there, it will be too late. It takes 10 days to reach the capital, but the carriage carrying the witch is loaded with magic and should arrive before the king in 2 days. The execution is in 3 days. No matter how hard he tries, he'll never make it in time. It's useless, and it's well-deserved for the demon. Shu thanks the boy for the kind warning and says he can make it in time. He will fly steadily in the sky using acceleration magic day and night. In spiritual form, he can move without worrying about obstacles. Since his body doesn't tire or sleep, he should arrive in 3 days, finally a day when he's grateful to be a spirit. The boy starts screaming that even if Shu makes it in time, it will be useless. The Ramza continent is protected by the best knights. He won't stand a chance. Shu complains that the boy talks too much, then tells him not to move. A woman approaches, shouting that this is the end of whatever Shu is doing and asks how he dared to invade that cathedral. Shu complains that everyone there is a pain and he doesn't have time to deal with all of them. The boy puts his hand on the ground and uses his magic. He activates magical vibration to generate ultrasonic waves, and he's going to activate magic sense to detect the vibrations so he can locate himself. Shu closes his eyes and feels beneath the ground until he finds what he's looking for, a huge underground water vein that gave rise to the lush vegetation of the Eldera forest. The boy uses the acceleration magic circle gravity, configures the magical vibration circle, and connects and visualizes the circuit of the 3 formations. The group begins to approach to finish Shu off, but the boy seems calm. He sees the radiant world where Iris lives. It must have been like this for years, and she must have endured many painful words. The girl was alone. She looks at Shu and smiles. Shu concludes that he will destroy that world and charges at the enemies. The man who helps Shu is outside talking to a guard, saying it must be boring to stand under the sun all day, but the guard says it's fine because that city is peaceful. Suddenly, the cathedral explodes. Everything and everyone are blown away, many are struck. A lot of smoke rises. Shu notes that it was his first large-scale explosion, but it seems he did a good job. Liquid water expands greatly when it turns to steam. Manipulating the pressure and temperature and interfering with the underground water well, it vaporized instantly. The acceleration forced the explosion's pressure upward. The result was the cathedral ending up in pieces. Someone cries for help. Shu looks and wishes that he suffers at best. Everyone in the city looks to the sky, where Shu is flying, and are shocked that he is the demon responsible for it. The bishop says that the holy knights must do everything within their power to eliminate that monster. It is a being surrounded by a dark aura full of sinister magical power. He is the prophecy of the wicked star. The bishop blesses the knights before sending them into battle. The population revolts and screams for the demon to be annihilated quickly. A priest asks people to be quiet and go back home. Shu begins to drain the life from all the priests and knights present and says he will destroy the entire city. He annihilates them one by one, sucking out their lives. The population is frightened. Shu says he doesn't hate people who listen properly. The spirits that follow the boy watch from afar. He asks where those spirits had gone, and they reply that there were too many humans there and they got scared. Serious, Shu tells them to move forward. Then they fly into the sky. In the city, the population remains perplexed. Night falls. The sun rises. In front of the cathedral of the Ramza kingdom, there is a huge statue of the king. Everyone is very agitated, excited about the witch's execution. In the center of the city, the executioners prepare the stake where Iris will be burned by holy fire. In a dungeon, deep beneath the ground and full of rats, Iris rests. She is lying on the floor thinking about Shu. The dungeon is very deep. The guards at the door talk about how they never thought a witch would appear among the holy knights. One asks how she's doing, and the other says she's been terribly quiet since she learned about her execution. Iris is lying on the floor. She complains that she can't help herself. She was caught and taken there by force. On the way in the carriage, Gremlin said she was a fool full of hope, abandoned by God, so she deserved to die like the immortal witch Iris Silverbread. The girl wonders what is wrong with Gremlin. He said all kinds of things to her. He stares at her with eyes that truly hate her. The girl clearly feels the malice. Her stomach growls. She lies on the floor and complains that she wants to eat a sweet bun. That situation is the worst, but her heart is calm. Shu promised her, even if the whole world became her enemy, he would protect her. He's definitely coming to help her. Iris believes in Shu. She remembers how close they are. If she manages to get out of there, she wants them to travel together, eat delicious bread, work, and live in isolation like that. Just the two of them together forever. A sudden noise occurs. It's Gremlin entering the dungeon cell. He announces that it's time for the execution. Then he pulls Iris by the arm, telling her to get up. Staring at her, Gremlin says that Iris has an impressive face. The girl screams for him not to touch her. But Gremlin slaps her face, telling Iris not to speak to him like that. He waited years for that moment, but he always knew she would betray the will of God. After all, blood does not lie. Iris is confused. Gremlin realizes she doesn't remember and says he'll tell her the story, then asks the guards to wait at the top of the stairs. When they leave, the man approaches and asks if he doesn't seem familiar to her. Iris says he is the Inquisitor, but she's seen him before at the inauguration ceremony. Gremlin says he's referring to much earlier than that. Suddenly, Iris remembers. He was the man who came to her house to announce her parents' passing. Excited, Gremlin says she finally remembered. Daria and Rose Silverbread were foolish souls who fell into the underworld. Iris is confused and asks what he's talking about. Her parents lost their lives on the front lines. They were annihilated by a disaster-class monster. Serious. Gremlin says that's a lie. He's the one who took her parents' lives. The girl doesn't understand. Then Gremlin explains that 18 years ago, during the mission to hunt the disaster-class monster, Daria and Rose led a unit for the capture. Gremlin was so excited and thought he couldn't miss it, being led by two such excellent and honorable people. The unit successfully cornered the Black Knight of the disaster class, but Daria told them to protect the Black Knight and the boy. The group was shocked, questioning what he was talking about. But Darius saw that the demon was protecting a child and she was returning the favor. Gremlin complained that monsters and humans don't communicate. He couldn't truly be protecting. And if he was, the child had been corrupted by evil and must die. But Darius said seriously that they do not annihilate children. The whole group tried to argue, telling Daria to think better, that the child just hadn't realized the danger yet and that her judgment was slow. Someone says that no matter the reason, the demon must be judged. Then Darius says that evil certainly must not go unpunished, but magic teaches them to be kind and loving to one another, and that includes that child. Now, two teachings are in conflict, and he must choose one of them, so he will choose the one he believes is most important. Rose approaches and says she agrees. Gremlin is in disbelief. The woman asks him to calm down and says she feels compassion between the Black Knight and the child. That love should be answered with love. Gremlin says that, ignoring his protests, they decided to protect the child and the demon. The group questioned what they should do. One of the men said he didn't want to see them as traitors, but that was heresy. Gremlin says he couldn't watch that. Daria approached the monster and introduced herself, telling him not to be afraid because they wouldn't hurt him anymore. Rose notices that the child was scared, and Daria says maybe he didn't have good parents. Then Daria says they will take the child to a safe place. If the demon wants to protect the human child, he must trust them and go that way. Before there could be any reaction, Gremlin attacks Daria from behind, thrusting a spear into her chest. Gremlin says with hatred in his eyes that if she betrays God, she must perish. Then he annihilates Daria. Rose is frightened and quickly, Gremlin impales her too. The group finds themselves not knowing what to do. Many disagree with Gremlin's actions, but the main objective is to go after the demon. Gremlin says that Daria and Rose betrayed God just like Iris. They embraced a demon, committing blasphemy. That's why he got rid of both. Of course, he also discarded the demon. Even so, he failed to finish off the child. He did the right thing, but annihilating a fellow holy knight is seen as a grave sin, so they decided to cover up the truth. He had to report a lie to the cathedral that Daria and Rose died on the front lines fighting the demon, and he burned their bodies in the forest. His body filled with joy when offering those impure souls to God. Then he remembered that the couple had a 5-year-old daughter. He knew because they wouldn't stop talking about her. He went to that house after the nanny left. He didn't want to leave behind a bloodline that would defy magic. That's why Gremlin tried to finish off Iris and send her underground. But while he was strangling her, he heard someone outside. It was Iris' parents' colleagues knocking on the door. They said they had something to tell her and asked Iris to open the door. So Gremlin fled. She probably lost her memory due to the shock, but he always remembered it vividly. He can't even count how many times he regretted not finishing her off when he had the chance. Iris grabs Gremlin by the clothes full of hatred. Gremlin says she must hate him, but now it's too late. She's about to be executed. He pulls the girl by the hair up the stairs while laughing maniacally. The guards tie up Iris. Gremlin says to let the flames of purification burn. In the public square, there is the stake. Walking out with Iris tied up, Gremlin says the sky is beautiful that day. It makes him want to sing. The girl cries, gagged. While Gremlin whistles, she climbs onto the stage of the stake and the executioners tie her up. Someone announces that they will begin the execution. Gremlin goes to the front and asks the people to be silent and listen to him. That witch was in intimate contact with monsters. She obtained magical powers from them. The magic of the knights is divine and blessed by God, and learning this magic from a demon is treason. Therefore, she shall be burned alive. Gremlin approaches and says that the armor of immortality will protect her, but if they keep burning her until her magic is depleted, she will eventually perish. The longer she lives, the more pain the fire will bring her. But she shouldn't worry, everything eventually ends. Soon her soul will be guided and she will meet her parents. The guards keep the crowd under control. In the audience, a woman tells them to hurry up with the execution, but another says there are many procedures involved. A boy goes to tell his master what's happening, but the man says he knows Gremlin is just spouting nonsense. He tells the child to watch closely. He'll be hooked the moment he hears the screams. A child asks his mother if the witch did something bad, and the woman replies that she did the worst thing. She betrayed magic. The child asks where that soul goes if God is angry. An old man answers that sinners fall into the underworld and continue to suffer for eternity, and if he wants a good eternity, he must not betray magic like the witch. God will accept the believer and give him peace and blessings. Then the child wonders why the girl betrayed God, since monsters are evil. The executioners place firewood at Iris's feet. She cries in silence. Her parents said they wanted to be holy knights to protect people, and she was so proud. She couldn't give up even after falling so many times and being called a failure, because she wanted to be like her parents. She didn't run away with Shu and return to the church because she wanted to stay true to her duty as a holy knight until the end. The executioner shouts to set the fire. Then they use their magic circles and set Iris on fire. In the end, nothing worked. Those who hurt her were humans. It was humans who annihilated her parents, and she will also meet her end at the hands of a human. To her, humans represent evil. Shu was always the one who saved her. He was always there with kindness, even after everything. Iris hears a voice saying that her face shows she has a boring life. The girl looks up. It's Shu who's in front of her. He smiles and says he came to help her. The girl is filled with hope. Shu says she no longer needs those restraints and frees her. Then he holds her hand. He pulls her close, and they hug. The executioners wonder where that monster came from who suddenly fell from the sky amid the flames. There are many ghosts there. Usually they don't appear in the city. Gremlin is in shock, but a magic emerges from within the flames. Shu flies into the sky, announcing that he will take Iris away. Gremlin cannot believe what he sees. The girl says that Shu is late and had promised to protect her. Shu says that she also promised him everything would be fine, and it wasn't. Shu says that's just like her, ignoring some points. But it's alright. No matter how hopeless the situation is, he will always protect her. The population is furious that the witch is being taken. They wonder if that's the monster who gave her power. He must be stopped soon. After all, that is the capital Ramza. Gremlin shouts that Shu is the most hated demon who defies God's work. He will annihilate him just like he did with the cruel knight. Gremlin shouts to bring Shu down, but the boy uses his magic circle. He thinks about how the Holy Knight's power from Ramza seems weak, but actually it's him who has grown stronger. The knights shout that Shu has no chance against the Holy Knights, but Shu casts the power of death upon them. One by one, he takes their lives. Shu is now extremely powerful. The magic of death has changed. That's also a result of the power increase. Iris watches it all and comments that it's beautiful. The population falls into despair, screaming that the Holy Knights were absorbed by the demons like death itself. The underworld is manifesting. That must be the monster mentioned in the last mission. His appearance is just like the king of the underworld who rules over death, Hades. Shu uses death magic and thinks that Hades isn't a bad name. King of the underworld, Shu Arclight. Iris says she has a favor to ask of the boy. She points to Gremlin and says he was the one who took her parents. Then she starts to say something. Shu says he doesn't mind doing it, but asks if she's sure. Iris thinks for a moment and says that's enough. Gremlin mocks the title of King of the Underworld and tells them not to mess with him. Then he calls them insolent fools who insult God and cannot get away with it. Shu uses his magic to make him burn and disappear. At Gremlin's feet, flames appear. He panics and begins to catch fire. Quickly, his body is engulfed as he screams in agony. The man does not stop screaming and is completely burned to ashes. In the end, he crawls on the ground, only ashes remain. Iris stares at him. Shu says that the battle of magic seems to want to take everything he has, so he will never forgive that god. He will destroy that entire city. His fight is not against the people, but those who are reborn should consider themselves dead. He will reach everything in the underworld. You cannot escape death. Even if you want to live, you will still lose your life. The population screams in despair that the god of the underworld is coming to destroy them. They must flee and save only their lives. They need to leave through the gate if they don't want to perish. A child cries, asking why her father isn't going. The man says that they are people blessed by magic. Their duty is to protect that city and everyone in it. He hugs his daughter and tells her not to worry, that you will find her soon. The mother takes the girl. Looking at his daughter, he says that she is his reason for living, and only with that love can they transcend death. There was some confusion, but the evacuation of the population is happening without issues. Owen informs the king that they must complete the evacuation by sunrise. The man asks about the association, and one of the knights says it's empty. Then the king says there is no hope for material goods either. They don't know what kind of attack they will receive, which puts them at a disadvantage in battle. To think that a simple execution of a witch sent from Eliana could awaken the king of the underworld. With so little time left, they can't even call for help, and even if the people escape, they will have no city to return to. A knight shouts to the king that they are still strong. He thought they had awakened somewhat. Ramza is still the land of holy knights and mages. With all their combined strength, they can fight the monster. He shouts that Ramza will not fall as long as they are there. The king becomes excited and says he leaves their future in the hands of those knights. The sun sets and night falls. In the middle of the forest, Shu and Iris sit around a small campfire. The girl asks if it's okay to make a fire, and the boy tells her not to worry. They probably don't have time to search the forest at that point. Then Iris thanks him for helping her. In the end, God never came to help her even once, but Shu always ran to her side. Shu says that the magic of a frozen heart is strange. Iris laughs and agrees and wonders how she believed in all that. The boy looks at her and says he will destroy that city. Many humans will lose their lives, more than the number he annihilated in the forest before. Shu asks if Iris doesn't hate it when people from her country lose their lives. The girl becomes serious for a moment and thoughtful. Then she says one should love one another. Most of the time, the act of annihilation creates anger. That's how it should be. But she was going to be burned alive, and meanwhile, the whole population was happy to watch. So why should she ask Shu not to destroy people like that? That feeling disqualifies her as a human and as a holy knight. But she's a witch anyway. Shu smiles and says he's relieved because now he can act without hesitation the next day. Iris stares at him and moves closer to him. Sitting beside him, she leans on his shoulder. Shu asks what that is, and Iris laughs. They spend the night cuddled up. The sun rises. In the city, all the knights are ready for battle. The king says that Hades is coming, and that everyone inside and outside the city is counting on them. No matter what kind of demon that is, he can't defeat elite soldiers. Iris asks how Shu plans to fight as a witch who escaped death. She questions how he intends to destroy the entire city, and Shu says he will blow the whole place up. It's the only way to end that ideology. He's going to use the Great Meteorite. Shu says he doesn't know if it can be called formidable magic, but by his calculations, it can destroy the entire continent. Iris says that is divine-level magic. The boy tosses the little stone in his hand upward and creates a three-dimensional magic circle. He merges the complexity of magic with immense power. It has finally taken form. Iris watches it all in awe. First, Shu transforms the sphere into a small shape. He will construct a 3D circle with magical power and formulas. The boy starts to act. There are many magical circles combined: conversion, protection, acceleration, all organized and aligned. A black sphere is formed. Iris is shocked that the stone became that sphere, and Shu explains he transformed the stone into antimatter. Shu explains all the physical and chemical concepts involved in that explosive sphere, but Iris only thinks about the delicious bread she wants to eat. From a distance, it just looks like a sphere, and he's going to send it to them. After all, he never said he would fight face to face. The city is ready to fight. On the walls, there are hundreds of knights. Everyone looks around. Then someone sees something in the sky. It's a teleportation circle above the city, from which the black sphere emerges. Slowly, the ball falls to the ground. As soon as it touches the ground, a brutal explosion occurs. Everyone who fled the city can see it from afar. The entire city is gone. A little child asks her mother what that enormous black ball is. It's covering their house, and then she remembers her father was there too. The massive explosion sphere begins to dissipate. Only the little stone remains. It falls into the water and sinks. In the place of the city, only a massive crater remains. Iris watches everything. Her eyes fill with tears. Shu says a great amount of power is approaching. He shouts for it to come. Several particles fly towards Shu. The boy begins to absorb all of them, smiling, until none are left. Suddenly something happens. He hears a voice every time he evolves. This voice shouts the name of his evolution. Shu is now even more dazzling. Advanced evolution, an alpha spirit, a primordial demon. Iris observes that Shu has changed again. His hair seems to have grown even more, and his power has increased extraordinarily. Every time Shu accepts death, he becomes stronger as a monster. He remembers his sister from his other life saying she wouldn't cut her hair anymore either. Shu becomes serious. He says that Takemitsu Osamu is dead. Now he will live as Shu Arclight. To avoid losing his life and to escape annihilation, he will live in that world. All with Iris by his side. The kingdom of Ramza perished. That was spread by the people who escaped, and the whole continent learned about it. Some were frightened. Others confused. Some found hope. No one found out the fate of the two in the vortex. 1 month later, Iris runs through the forest. A werewolf is chasing her. Suddenly, it jumps on top of the girl. She complains that he's very persistent, then uses wind impact against the beast. With a magic circle, she annihilates the monster and says she's not weak anymore. Surrounded by bodies, Shu approaches and welcomes Iris. She says she's back and it looks like he has visitors. The boy says those people probably ended up there by accident. Now they should check their pockets and see if there's anything of value. Iris cheers and says she hopes they have food. She starts searching the bodies looking for bread. Shu says he's been thinking, why don't they go to the city? They've been hiding in the forest for a month. He doesn't need to sleep or eat, but she does. Iris says she's okay and now has an immortal body, but her stomach starts growling. Shu asks if she doesn't want a soft bun, and the girl says yes, crying. Then he says they should go to the Republic to get some money. Iris grabs posters and says they're just the most wanted on the list, and Shu says they'll do their best. The boy starts thinking of ways to use his magic for camouflage, but Iris catches his attention and says that no matter what happens, they must stay together. Smiling, the boy agrees. It's impossible to resist the approach of death, but the girl who cannot die and the king of death, there's only one possible fate. Iris says they should go, and if her identity is discovered, she can tell the soldiers something, that the king of the underworld is with her. So the video ends here. If you don't want to miss the next part, activate the notification bell, and see you next time on Tob's channel.